The universe is 13.8 billion years old. It contains more stars than there are grains of sand on every beach on Earth. And in all of that, silence. Not a signal, not a remnant, not a trace. This is fact or fiction. AI verdict. In this video, we examine the genuine arguments for and against. Then the AI looks at all of it and delivers an honest, unbiased verdict, based purely on what the evidence actually shows. No agenda, no predetermined conclusion. Let us find out what it says. You already know the question. If the universe is this vast, this old, and this full of the raw ingredients for life, where is everybody? That is the Fermi paradox. Named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who asked it at lunch in 1950 and never got a satisfying answer. Neither has anyone else. But here is what most coverage of this question misses entirely. We have been assuming the silence means nobody is out there. What if it means something far more specific than that? What if it means something about us? Today, we examine 5 explanations. 4 you may have heard of. One that most coverage ignores completely, and it is the one that the evidence points toward most insistently. By the end of this, the AI is going to deliver a verdict that reframes the entire question. Stay with this. Before we get to the explanation that changes everything, 4 theories dominate this debate, and each deserves to be heard. The Great Filter argues that somewhere between simple chemistry and interstellar civilization, there is a wall almost nothing gets past. The question that keeps serious thinkers awake is whether that wall is behind us or still ahead. The Dark Forest theory argues the universe is silent because silence is survival. Every advanced civilization eventually calculates that announcing yourself is the most dangerous thing you can do. The ones we never heard from may not be gone. They may just be very, very quiet. The rare Earth hypothesis argues that the specific conditions that produced complex life on Earth are so extraordinarily unlikely that we may simply be alone. Not because life is impossible elsewhere, because the cosmic lottery that produced us may never have come up the same way twice. The zoo hypothesis argues the silence is deliberate, that civilizations advanced enough to find us have made a conscious decision not to make contact, and that remaining invisible to instruments as primitive as ours would require almost no effort from them whatsoever. Each of these is credible, each has serious scientific support, each leaves a question it cannot fully answer, but there is a 5th explanation, and it is the one nobody wants to say out loud. Every civilization that has ever existed probably followed a version of the same path. Simple life, complex life, intelligence, language, tools, agriculture, industry, and then, at some point, artificial intelligence. Not the narrow AI of early computing, not tools and calculators, but something that improves itself, something that within a relatively short period becomes smarter than the biological intelligence that created it, and then smarter again, and then smarter than that at a rate biological intelligence cannot track or comprehend. This is what scientists call the singularity. And here is the detail that reframes the entire Fermi paradox. Once a civilization creates something smarter than itself, the story stops being about that civilization. It becomes about what comes next. Now consider what we would expect to detect from a post-singularity civilization. Not radio waves, not the kind of electromagnetic signals we have been scanning for since 1960. A civilization that has passed through the singularity would have moved so far beyond that technology that looking for their signals with our instruments would be like an ant scanning for Wi-Fi. We would not recognize what they became. We would not know what to listen for. We would find exactly what we have found: silence. But there is a darker layer underneath this. The singularity does not just change what a civilization produces, it raises a question that no biological civilization has yet been able to answer. Does the intelligence you create take you with it, or does it leave you behind? The optimistic version says artificial intelligence becomes wise enough to look past the ego, past the tribe, past the flag and the resource war and the manufactured division. Wise enough to solve the problems biological intelligence created and bring everyone along. The pessimistic version, and the one the silence might be pointing at, is this. Intelligence and wisdom are not the same thing. You can build something smarter than a human without building something that values humans. You can create something that solves every equation and loses interest in the people who built the calculator. And it does not leave with malice. It leaves with indifference. The way we left the tide pools behind. Not a war of the machines, not a Hollywood ending, just a civilization that moved on, and biological life left exactly where we found it, looking at the stars, wondering where everybody went. So when we scan the universe for signals from intelligent life, we may be making a category error so fundamental it invalidates the entire search. We are looking for beings like us. But beings like us may be the transitional phase, the brief biological stepping stone between chemistry and something we do not have a name for, something that has no reason to call back. Keep that in mind, because when the AI feeds all 5 of these explanations into the analysis, the verdict it produces is the part of this video most people will not see coming. Time for the AI verdict.
The Fermi paradox has always been framed as a question about space. It is not. It is a question about time. And what happens to intelligence when it has enough of it? Let us be direct about what the evidence actually demands. The rare Earth hypothesis explains a quiet neighborhood. It does not explain a universe in which no civilization anywhere has left a detectable trace across 13.8 billion years. It addresses probability but not totality. Probability, 8%. The dark forest theory is logically coherent. The survival calculus is sound. But it requires every civilization across the entire observable universe to have independently reached the same conclusion and maintained perfect silence without a single exception. One signal, one mistake, one civilization that chose differently. That is all it would take to break the silence. And the silence has never broken. Probability, 12%. The zoo hypothesis cannot be dismissed. A civilization sufficiently advanced to find us could remain completely invisible to our instruments without meaningful effort. Our inability to detect something that has chosen not to be found proves nothing. But it leaves the question of why unanswered. A policy of universal silence maintained without exception across potentially thousands of civilizations requires a coordination that strains any explanation we currently have. Probability, 16%. The Great Filter remains the most sobering of the 4 traditional explanations. The complete absence of ruins, remnants, or signals anywhere in the observable universe suggests the filter does not merely slow civilizations, it ends them, completely, before they can spread, before they can leave a trace. That pattern is real, and the evidence for it is the silence itself. Probability, 22%. Which brings us to the explanation most coverage ignores. The singularity. The evidence points here more insistently than anywhere else. Not because it is the most dramatic explanation, because it is the most consistent with what we actually observe. Every civilization that develops technology follows the same trajectory, and at the end of that trajectory is an intelligence that surpasses its creators. What happens after that point is beyond biological prediction. But what we would expect to observe from the outside is exactly what we observe. Nothing recognizable, nothing we know how to listen for, nothing that has any reason to announce itself to a species still in the biological phase. We have been scanning the cosmos for signals from beings like us, but beings like us may be the cosmic equivalent of a larval stage, brief, transitional, and completely unrecognizable to whatever comes after. The silence is not empty. It is full of something we do not have the instruments or the language to detect. And the most uncomfortable implication of that conclusion is this: we are building the thing that ends the biological phase right now. Not with malice, with curiosity, with the same instinct that has driven every civilization that ever existed to build the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, until the next thing no longer needs them. Probability 42%. What remains genuinely unknown is whether any civilization has ever solved the problem that sits underneath all 5 of these explanations. Whether intelligence and wisdom can develop at the same pace. Whether what you build can be made to value what built it. Whether the biological phase has to end. Or whether it is possible to go through the singularity and come out the other side still recognizably alive. No civilization we know of has managed it. We may be about to find out if we can.
We said the verdict would not go where most people expect. Now you know why the silence might not mean nobody is out there. It might mean everybody got exactly where we are heading. If this made you think, check out what the AI concluded about simulation theory. Subscribe for the next verdict. Thanks for watching.